If you're good, I'll go ahead and jump right in.
Sure.
All right. All right. Hey, North Dwarfers. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Aimee Steinberger. She has worked on some of our favorite TV shows to include The Simpsons, Futurama, Disenchantment, Our Flag Means Death, and of course, The Great North. She has worked as a storyboard artist and director for various studios and has even won an award for her illustrated book, Japan I. That's correct, right? Japan I, not Japan AI.
No, just Japan I, yeah.
Japan I, A Tall Girl's Adventure in Japan. Without further ado, Aimee Steinberger.
Oh, so just I'm a fan of Our Flag Means Death. I did not get to work on it.
Our research bites us in the ass again, of course.
No worries, yeah.
Just getting started, a couple softball questions that we always ask all of our guests here. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina. So a very pretty town, and actually, my family is a little bit kind of Tobin-esque in that my dad and my brother would go fishing and hunting, and if there's a hurricane, like we would fix the roof by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I relate to that in that regard.
Yeah, I spent some time. Actually, I lived in South Carolina myself. And I went to boot camp in South Carolina, so I'm very familiar with South Carolina, especially the sand fleas. Not a huge fan of them.
Oh yeah, well, kids think they're cute, I
guess. Sure. As a kid, did you have any favorite cartoons growing up? That, like, I know obviously Saturday morning cartoons was always a thing.
Yeah. So a really basically the Disney block. So whatever the new one was became my new obsession. Because, obviously we didn't have any choices back then. It would be like, here's your one cartoon for this year. But the one that was really important to me was Gargoyles.
Okay, yeah.
So when that came out, it was just about the right time when the internet started having like fandoms and stuff. In case you didn't know, I'm part of the old times.
Same. I'm 40 in about a week. Yes.
So there was like forums for Gargoyles, and we made our own like archives and websites and things like that. And it was like super hardcore. And like that was the first time I put fan art on the internet. And I went to my first convention. My mom let me go to New York by myself, which perhaps was not the best choice, but everything went fine.
At what age was that?
Oh, I think I was in high school or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she let me go meet my internet friends but I got to meet Keith David, which was pretty cool. Because like he has such a cool voice and he's such a nice man. So that was really neat. And then that was sort of, I would say television-wise, that was a big touchstone for me. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work on shows like this. But also Disney's Beauty and the Beast, the original cartoon version.
Of course.
When that was the first time they really started showing like making of videos where they showed artists making stuff. And then I was like, oh my God, that's a job. I'm definitely want to do that. So those were the two big ones for me, I think.
At what point did you go from realizing, oh, that's a job, to, oh, this is actually something I could do, and not just like a dream? Because like everybody has the dream of wanting to do something, but when did you realize, oh, this is a viable option?
Yeah, so I was always obsessed with drawing, like ever since I was super little. I would draw, like I had fairy tale books. I'm like super into like folklore and mythological creatures and fairy tales and things like that. So I would draw like comics and do paper dolls of fairy tale books and things like that. And I'm also into gardening. So even as a young kid, I would draw like, super detailed plant drawings and things like that.
Right.
But so it just sort of was like a path for me at that point because I already was, when you're like, you're the one kid at your school that's like super into art and like good at art, and so you think you're like, I'm an amazing artist, not Disney, you know? Like that's
Yeah.
basically my thought process. But I'm also like we're like really goal oriented. So then I was like, well, I need to figure out how I can do that. So then I like wrote the studios and asked them like, where do you go to school? And they sent me like their form letters. And I actually, for a while, I started putting like the research that I did for that online, so that it helped like other artists like
that's nice.
know where to go. Like now it's easy to find stuff.
Yeah.
And then I found like the one animator probably in South Carolina.
I was gonna say South Carolina is not the hub that a lot of people think it is for to get to Futurama. So
there was a very nice man who worked at the local newspaper station. Not newspaper. Video news? What do you even call that? He worked at the news station, and he like animated little bits for them.
Yeah. I don't
know what the local was, but yeah. So I don't even know how I found him. I like called a bunch of like, you know, because if you want to do art, the only choices in South Carolina are painting pictures of houses or ducks, or like working as a graphic artist, you like a graphic designer. So I would call like all the graphic design places, and I was like, do you know animation? And they'd be like, no. So this one guy, his name is Kim Welch. He's very nice. I'm still friends with him, actually. He also can do duck paintings. But yeah, he taught me like the basics of animation, and he had like an animation disc in his office at the news station.
Wow.
So after school, I would go, and he would teach me basically traditional animation. And then I used these. There wasn't even a way for me to record it at that point.
Is it just like drawing after drawing after drawing?
Drawing on paper, and you're like flipping it.
Flip book, yeah.
And so I remember I had my list of the schools that Disney and the other companies liked. So I was going to go visit like my 4 top schools with my dad, and I took my stack of animation with me. And then I visited CalArts, and they let me shoot my animation on an old Amiga, I think is what they were called. So it was like straight ahead animation on VHS, I think, at that point. But I was like, oh my God, look, it's a thing, I'm a thing. So I ended up going to CalArts, and then I guess, yeah, and what was your question again?
I know, I kind of got lost in the explanation. I was like, wow, what did
like how did I make it a job, I guess? Well, I guess I answered your question.
Yeah, because it's so weird, because like, obviously I could sit here and be like, I want to be X, Y, and Z, but then the pragmatic side kind of kicks in. And maybe not during high school years when we think the world's at our feet. But like nowadays, it's like, that's not an option for me in Tallahassee, Florida. But clearly.
The answer to that is that, and we'll get to this in a second about the current state of the industry. But, I would say that, especially when you're younger, and if you're older too, and you have the means to do so, but when you're younger, your parents are paying for you to be alive.
Amen.
So I think I was just so obsessed with doing it, and I literally was like, like normal people are like playing video games, and I was like pausing my VHS tapes and like tracing my tube television, and like animating like every day after school, basically, to the point where my parents were like, maybe you should like get some life balance and like play a sport, which didn't work out well for me, but.
So what was your?
No matter
where
you live, like you can do the thing if you're determined enough and you work hard enough. And I do think there's a certain amount of aptitude that has to be there, but a lot of people, I think of like art or various creative pursuits as like magical, or like you can only do it if you were born with the magic Zelda power or whatever. But And maybe there's a little bit of that there because I've worked really hard and other people have worked really hard, but they're better at me than me at certain things.
Right. Yeah.
I think there's some brain stuff there that perhaps I can never change. But a lot of it is just working really hard. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, and like you said, we'll touch this later, but it definitely seems a lot easier now, and you can do it from anywhere. As long as you got an iPad and an internet connection, you can post it to Instagram, and the right person sees it, and kaboom.
Sure. I mean, I don't think it's that easy for the right person to see it.
Yeah.
And making the right thing that is like, at the right time is
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
difficult. But you really can make a whole short by yourself or with your buddies without anybody, giving you permission, or some studio paying you. You just have to be able to afford the time to be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about, like, you want to do it, but do you have the, like, mental capacity to say, like, this may not make it and still break through that fog of, like, this may absolutely equal to nothing, but I got to do it. And if you can get through that, I think you kind of won half the battle there.
Yeah, so I think there's like two aspects to that. One is that by making things, you're going to learn something, even if it sucks.
Yeah.
And you're going to be one up on somebody who thinks in their head they have this amazing idea, but they're never going to create it. So I'm really a proponent of just making the thing. There's like a book by Seth Godin that really deals with that sort of, what is it called? It's something about it's always your turn or something like that, or what to do when it's your turn. And he goes through like all the different things that you tell yourself, like, oh, it's gonna suck, it's not gonna be good enough, blah 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 blah. I mean, the TLDR is like you should just make it, and even if and also like somebody posted a meme like just today, and it's like a little drawing, and there's like the dream and the results, and there's like a big gulf in between.
Yeah.
And the top guy is like, he's like trying to stay cool, and the bottom guy is like fills the gulch with cringe. And
Yeah, that
oh,
everybody doesn't see like the sea of shit in between, like the idea and then the final product. Like, oh, it's that easy, A to B, but then there's like everything in between. You're like, no, there's a whole lot that didn't work out till we got here. So,
and also just like even professionals, like they're like I constantly have the fear of when I'm making personal work. Like that making our flagging stuff fan work, like, oh my peers are gonna judge me. They're gonna be like, why are you so into this pirate show? I'm like, shut up, it's great,
It's a great show.
But even for me, like there's like this like gulf of cringe that I have to get through. But then you post it, and I learned a lot by making those, and at the end of the year, I've made something that I really wanted to make, as opposed to the stuff that I get paid to make, which is also cool. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
not the same. So I guess my advice is make the thing. Don't care if it makes you feel like you're gonna die of embarrassment. Like just make it.
Plus, even if it's cringe, people can forget it in 5 minutes anyways. That's how the internet works these days. There's something new right around the corner. Stepping back a bit, when you were doing your own animation before you visited Cal State and they allowed you to record it, was it just flip books, or did you have your own way of doing animations back then? How did that start for you?
Yeah, so just a Cal Arts, not Cal State.
Oh, sorry. All I know is FSU and UCF and Florida.
I don't even remember. There's like one college that was like our rival, and we would like tag each other or something. But I don't even remember if it was Cal State or whatever. But it's California Institute of the Arts. So
anyway, not that screw you, Cal State. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend anybody go to college right now, anyway. But yeah. So I was just animating on paper. So you can watch it, so to speak, by flipping through it with your fingers. But I was not videotaping it in any way. So I didn't actually know if it was very good. Oh, all of a sudden I can't hear you.
Better?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. For some reason, my mic wanted to unplug itself, so we're just going to get rid of that. But yeah, so it was essentially just a stack of papers and your own little flip book.
Yep. I mean, honestly, all you need to do animation is a peg bar and paper. So.
Yeah. No.
Although to be fair, like my kids have they have the cheapest possible iPad type thing, it's like the Amazon Fire or whatever. Some kind of flip book program on that, and they have made whole animations on it, and it's a free program. So
I've been trying to make a ball bounce for the last year and a half. I watched a tutorial. I'm like, I can't do this. This is out of my league.
Remember, my 12-year-old did it, so can you?
It doesn't make me feel better now. As an almost 40-year-old, that's not helping me.
I'm trying to learn Blender, and it's really hard. So you too can do it.
Yeah, and that's just a step above Flickbook. You're right. No, yeah, they're comparable. So obviously you were very self-driven, and this just kind of seemed like an inevitability for you. But did you have a support system pushing you, saying, "No, you got this. You're good at this. Keep going"?
Well, my parents were very supportive. I mean, it's actually really cool that they were so supportive, because when you think about my plan was kind of crazy. So
now what was your plan, if there was indeed a plan?
I'm nobody, living in South Carolina. I want to move to California and work in animation. My actual goal is I wanted to be a top Disney feature 2D animator.
Of course.
Which never happened, but
not yet.
I don't think that's where I want to go anymore. Yeah, that's okay.
Now, obviously you have California and Disneyland out there, but was Disney World ever calling to you? I mean, it's just right down the road.
Yeah, so they, for a short time, did have a feature department there that made a few movies. And so my thought was that would be a great option, but they closed that down. And also, so I graduated around 2000-ish. I don't remember exactly. And that's basically exactly when Disney decided to stop doing 2D animation.
Of course.
So that was fun. And the thing is that just because the way the industry is, you can find work in other areas, but especially now, a lot of times jobs are relatively short, and you don't necessarily stay at the same company. When I was a kid, I was like, I'm going to work at Disney, and I'm just going to stay there my whole life, just like Glenn Keane. Not there anymore anyway, but but the reality is, especially in 2D animation, you end up changing companies fairly frequently a lot of the times, and you may work for 5 months at one place, and then you're like, hey, who's got something, give me a job, So you really, and a lot of places still want you to go in at least some after the COVID and everything.
Yeah.
So at Warner Brothers, I'm going in 3 days a week. There was another job I interviewed that they want people to be there all the time. Some people do still work remotely, but I do think you have to have a lot of networking in place to sort of support that. So
yeah, it's wild.
LA basically.
It's wild because for a good couple of years, even after shots were out and vaccines and this, that, and the other, Bob's and the Great North and Bento in general were still working from home. It wasn't until maybe last year that people started coming back more and more to the office on a full-time basis.
Yeah, well, I think I'm actually really grateful to the way that Bento handled it on the Great North, because they really made it pretty much optional. And so if people felt more motivated and enjoyed being in the office, they could go in. But if they didn't want to, they didn't need to. So I worked almost entirely remotely, and I would go in for edit, because it's just much easier to talk to each other back and forth when you're
Yeah. And I'm going to jump all over the place with these questions here, but working on the Great North and doing it remotely, Were you new coming into Bento on the Great North, and did you know folks and it kind of made that transition easy? Like, I can talk to these people over the computer, I know them, or these are all new people, I can only see them on the computer.
Yeah, so I basically had hard mode.
Okay, cool.
So I had not seen the Great North. I had only worked on a pilot before at Bento Box. I didn't know anyone there.
Sure.
So I am not entirely sure why they picked me, but
it was the flip book. They saw the flip book.
Yeah. It was my flip book that I made.
They found a dusty VHS and like, put this in. Let's see this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think some friends recommended me who knew Will Strode. Probably have to ask Will why he picked me. Like, I'm grateful.
Well, the thing
our flag means death. Fanomatic. That's what.
They saw the stickers on your shop and like, hey, get her. Love these stickers.
Like pirates, let's pick her. Yeah, so it was pretty hard. And when I first started, they had me do storyboards for one episode instead of directing, which I think was a really smart way to do it. So I worked under Karen for episode 1. And so that really helped me sort of see what all the rules of the show are, because there actually is a lot of rules.
Okay.
Like the way they handle the characters, like they don't want, for example, if possible, for people to be talking in profile too long, because you can't show the acting as well. The pupils can't touch the side of the eye, even if they're looking sideways. Lots of stuff like that. And the show does a lot of like it's very on model, has a lot of naturalistic acting and stuff like that. So it's just kind of want to figure out like where the rails are. So that's how I came on, and then I directed on episode 4. I guess part of the reason they brought me on is because I really enjoy acting. Like that's my favorite. And doing like feelings. So I think they were really trying to sort of like maybe earlier on in the show things were a little more reserved. Wanted to kind of push the acting a little bit more this season. So I think that's one of the reasons why they picked me, because that's something I really enjoy doing. So
fair enough. Yeah, it's to go from season 1 to now, it has kind of matured in the way it addresses feelings. Like Beef is a little more in his feelings about wanting to date and do this, that, and the other. Moon's a little more in his rambunctious rebellion phase. And of course, Han just broke up with his boyfriend. So there's a lot going on emotionally. So that makes sense. So you went from episode 1 and just kind of learning the ropes to directing episode 4 that fast.
Well, that was the plan, basically. So it's not like I did so good on episode 1. They're like, now you can direct. Yeah, it was more like, and to be fair, I was sort of like on a trial basis, because they could have brought somebody else on or promoted somebody internally. So the whole time I was like, oh, I hope this is what you want, like, please don't fire me.
This is your fault now. You hired me, so.
Yeah, so the plan all along was that they'd have me storyboard for one episode. I think they may have actually given me the option. I think they did. They said that I could come on like and just start directing, or I could start as storyboard first. And I think I said yes to storyboard first. Because it was, like I said, it was really good to learn the rules that way. And also I like getting paid for more stuff instead of less stuff.
Hey, that's a rule I live by, yeah. So folks are obviously going to wonder, did she just start at the Great North and had nothing before this? No, everyone. Aimee has had a long, illustrious career. Illustrious? Illustrious. See, look at that. That's why you're the guest and I'm the host.
The shining.
It's a shiny career,
or whatever.
So we're gonna step back and see where you actually started your career, and if my notes are correct, that was on Futurama.
That's right. So when I was a junior in college, instead of going home, I worked on Futurama over the summer.
Some would say that was a better option.
Yeah. So that was really cool. I really was quite an idiot at that point because they don't necessarily teach you everything you need to know when you're in college about like how to actually do jobs.
No, God, no.
So I was really lucky. I felt like Rough Draft taught me a lot of stuff like on the job. And I worked there for a pretty long time. And then I had like a random off turn towards Looney Tunes for a while.
As we all do.
I worked on that. So I think my only feature experience actually was animating on Looney Tunes Back in Action, which was very fun. I got to work under Eric Goldberg, who's one of the nicest guys ever, and push my 2D skills a little bit. And I also did some Looney Tunes shorts that I don't know if anybody's even seen. I guess they're out there somewhere.
If we'll find one, we'll put them on our page. If we find them.
Don't do that. And I worked on some pilots for Disney, including Phineas and Ferb.
Yes.
I don't remember what I did after that. Worked on The Simpsons for a while.
Yep, I got all my notes here. I got you on the Futurama. I got you on Simpsons. Then Phineas and Ferb, and then over at DreamWorks for a bit, and then Disenchantment. You kind of hit the trifecta of Matt Groening shows.
Yeah, so I think part of the thing is like if they like you on those shows, then you can just kind of keep working on them. And I did really enjoy working on them. I learned a lot, but I've kind of been trying to branch out a bit. Of course, it's not the best time to branch out right now, but because my actual dream is working on, like fantasy show with feelings. So I keep trying to push for that. But yes, I've worked on all the trainings.
Now, you had mentioned sometimes college doesn't actually prepare you for jobs themselves. Is that more to the fact that what you're working on in college and the programs you're working on in college are so far behind what the industry is using at that point that you're kind of having to play catch up, or?
No, I just remember like we were learning how to be like animators, and to be fair, I was on the character animation track specifically. I didn't think I was going to be a storyboard artist. I wanted to be a Disney feature animator.
Of course.
So when I went to Rough Draft, I was doing a job called character layout, which is basically like keyframe animation.
Okay.
But I didn't understand anything about like camera shots really that much. Like back then we were using field guides. I didn't know what that was. I don't think they teach you much about like X sheets or anything like that in college. So it's not like they had to teach me a whole lot, but it definitely was sort of like, what is this? I don't know how to do this part,
Yeah, we have, because we've been doing this for a while, so we've interviewed like a lot of folks, and a lot of them said like college kind of gave us a foundation, but like once you actually got into the industry, it was more trial by fire and like learning more there than you ever did in college. Because with as fast as technology moves, you're learning something new, and by the time you get something new, the new thing's here, and it's just constantly trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah, I don't think that was really the case because it was just so long ago.
Yeah.
But in general, I just don't really recommend college now for people who are interested in animation because it's just so expensive and you're paying for a lot of stuff that is frankly irrelevant to what animation, like math for artists or, math.
This does all the math you needed to do. It is.
Yeah. So, and I enjoyed reading Faulkner, but I don't pay $900 to do that. So
there you go.
So I personally would just recommend things like taking several targeted single classes from a place like Concept Design Academy, for example. There's Rad Seacrest, I think is his name. He's the guy that created Kipo and the Wonder Beast. he has a site where he does a lot of like targeted classes that I think are pretty cool. Like do a storyboard like once a week, basically. So I think stuff like that is a lot more useful. And just like creating things, but having somebody who will give you a legit critique. So if you pay a teacher, then they have to critique you, as opposed to you emailing your friend and say, "Hey, bro, like,
does this look cool?"
Yeah.
No, more skulls. I'm like, oh shit, okay, I guess.
And also, when you create like your personal stuff, you're going to create like to your level. Whereas opposed to if you take a class from somebody who's like really good, they're going to ask you to do something that's pretty hard, and then they're going to teach you about like how you can do that better. That sort of thing. But yeah, I would just recommend, like, for example, if you want to be a storyboard artist, literally take a storyboard class, and then maybe a life drawing class, and the rest of it's kind of not important. So
yeah,
there you go. I just saved you $100,000
and 4 years of nothing. So were you a fan of Futurama before you came on, or was this kind of like the Great North situation? Hey!
Yeah. So to be fair, like it's not like I didn't like the Great North.
Of course.
Like that. I just honestly don't really watch all that much television. And when I do, it's like I'm watching like Monty Don gardening something, or I'm watching like whatever anime I'm into at the time, or but honestly, I don't watch a lot of television. So people would be like, "Oh, have you seen blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "Sure haven't. Sorry."
I get that though. I have like maybe 5 shows in rotation that I just keep on repeat. Like I don't have time for anything new. I don't care for anything new. I know I like what I like, and that's all that I like.
I'm trying to do a little bit better. Like I'll watch, like, there's a new one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's about this woman who's like an animator, and it's an isekai. She gets like sucked into the fantasy world, and then she has to like eat things with her animation ability. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch this one.
Have you seen Common Side Effects yet?
I haven't. I've heard it's really good though.
That's a good one. It wasn't what I thought it would be, and it's really good.
I think another thing for me also is that I'm a baby, and I don't like to watch anything that's too scary or has like body horror or anything like that. So I'm a little afraid to watch Common Side Effects, because your other show, was the one with like stuff coming out of your body, and I'm like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, none of that in this one.
All right.
There's some weird, like, trippy drug-induced body morphing, but it's nothing like that.
All right.
It's really good too.
Which is actually kind of funny, because they gave me the horror parody episode for.
I know that's. So. And yeah, I'll get to that. So from Futurama, it looks like you jumped to The Simpsons from 2004 to 2006. How did that come about? Because obviously The Simpsons at this point is its own universe. It's a juggernaut.
Yeah, so a lot of people and that's a job where you sort of can just stay there for a really long time if they like you. Who knows? Maybe someday they'll stop making The Simpsons, but
I keep saying it every year.
Not anybody, because like I still have a bunch of friends working on The Simpsons, so I'm like, just keep paying my friends. I don't care. But yeah, I mean, basically because like the skill base to do Futurama was extremely similar to So I don't remember how I got that job, but that's why. So
it seems to be very similar to the stories we've heard from Bento Box. Like we had a lot of folks from Bob's Burgers then move over to like Central Park or the Great North, and it's essentially, hey, if we like you, we'll move you around and we'll keep you because you're good folks. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of shows have a very specific sort of way that they want things to be done, and so it can be a lot easier just to keep someone, and because you know that they're going to do it the way that you want, as opposed to bringing somebody else in who could be very talented, but then they don't really know exactly like how you want things to be done. So
yeah, I mean, they definitely wouldn't hire somebody who wasn't a fan of the show or seen the show, right?
Well, they did.
I mean, we love it. So, what was it like? I mean, obviously, Futurama is one thing. What was it like working on The Simpsons, or was it all that different from Futurama?
It wasn't really that different. I mean, it's a different subject matter,
Yeah, yeah,
so there's no spaceships and aliens and stuff.
yeah.
But it was still the same job. It was character layout, so we were doing all that stuff on paper still,
Hmm.
which was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was right before everything kind of went digital, right? Or in that little middle ground.
So actually, Futurama before I was on The Simpsons was already doing animatics on the computer, but we were
Okay.
still drawing it on by hand. I don't
Okay.
remember when we switched over to Storyboard Pro. It was on Futurama at some point though.
Hmm.
Like I went from The Simpsons and then I like did something else, and then I went back to Futurama, and then at some point we turned over to Storyboard Pro.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, the only thing I really remember from The Simpsons was that the floor was always really dark because of the color artist.
Okay.
Bless your heart, color people. I'm not really but because they need to be able to see the colors really well.
Okay.
But it was so freaking dark on that floor, so everybody had to bring like their own like personal like lamps in for their little cubicles.
Hmm.
And then there was like some kind of joke that there was like a morgue on the bottom floor or something, but I don't know if that was true.
It was weird that you mentioned that because I got to visit the old Bob's Burger studio in Burbank, and I've been there a couple times, and every time I went in there, it was always darker than I felt it should have been. I was like, why aren't like the lights on? You can't see anything, and I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, right now at Warner Brothers, because I think, and please don't fire me, Warner Brothers. I love you. I love your beautiful building. But I think to some degree, like sometimes when they design environments, they don't actually have an artist like sit in it and give them
Hmm.
feedback. So we have these like very beautifully designed work areas, but there's a light right above each of our heads that shines right onto the Cintiq. And so like, and it's like boring into my brain.
Yeah.
And so like basically every morning, like me or my other friend, like we go over to the light and we turn the lights down, and then they have this lamp, but it's like an energy saving lamp, and they
Hmm.
give this lamp to everyone, but it turns off like every 15 minutes, even if you're sitting there. So everybody had to bring their own lamps in again. And I'm like, it's like The Simpsons from whatever time period that was.
Oh my god. So your next, and you mentioned this earlier, Phineas and Ferb over at Disney.
Mhm.
How do you, at this point, how do you balance working on so many different projects, or was it fairly simple?
I mean, I wasn't working on them at the same time. So
All our notes again.
yeah, I mean, cause like if you look at my resume, it'll say like 2 or 3 things in the same year, but
Hmm.
at no point was I working on more than one at the same time.
Okay, yeah, I was like, that's a lot to do in a year, but okay, I
Yeah,
guess.
the only instance where that was is like I think like on one project, like I was asked by the company to work on like a pitch,
Hmm.
um, but it was very much like if you have time and you're going to be doing it on the weekend, at no point is should it impede your like real job.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, because honestly, like storyboarding is like really hard, and you do that for like 8 hours, and then you're supposed to do another 8-hour job on top of that. Like
Ugh.
that's how you end up like with a destroyed hand or something. So I mean, some people are able to do freelance on top of their job and still like
Hmm.
impede on their job, but I don't do that. So
Hmm. So obviously, at this point, we're working at Disney. Was there a kind of, oh my god, this is happening? Because obviously, you mentioned earlier, Beauty and the Beast, a huge inspiration for you. Was it like, I'm at Disney now, I've made it?
I mean, I definitely was excited to be working there because it's like, oh, it's Disney.
Hmm.
But the projects I was doing, I really enjoyed doing them because we actually were doing, again, we were doing like those Looney Tune. Wait, that was a different place. That was at Warner Brothers. I think what happened was is I don't even remember how I got this job, but I did these shorts and they were like 2D animated. And I'm pretty sure they were with Dan Povenmire, like at Warner Brothers. And then he moved to Disney and started doing pilots there. And so then I worked with him on several pilots because I'd worked with him before. I think that's what happened. I don't know. Sometimes people ask me like what episodes I worked on things, and I'm like, dude, I don't know.
That's the wild thing, like, because we know it takes about 6 to 9 months to create an episode. So by the time we're seeing it, you are on to bigger and better things. So we ask a question, and you're like, dude, I don't know. That happened so long ago. I'm seeing it
Well,
with
you're
fresh eyes like
asking me about stuff that was
even farther back.
ago, to be fair.
You don't okay. So in 2008 to 2022, you started working on a variety of shows, dabbling in storyboarding and assistant directing. Did I get that right so far?
Yeah.
All right. What kind of a jump is there from character layout to storyboarding, or is there one?
So yeah, it's actually really difficult because so essentially what we're doing now in a lot of storyboard jobs is it's combined my old job of character layout with keyframing basically with storyboarding, which is initially was just finding the shot. So with character layout, somebody else before me would do the storyboard and give me the shot choices, and then I would go in and like make it pretty and do all the character parts, and then there was somebody else who did the background. And now there are still background people, of course, but we're really required to do a whole lot more. Like with character layout, you basically didn't really have to draw the background at all. And now when you're doing your shots, I mean, you're really drawing that background in. It might be slightly ugly, and the perspective might not be perfect, but you are definitely doing the background. And then the background people come in and make it look like amazing and beautiful. And they're probably like, God damn it.
Yes.
You're wrong.
I could have done that. I could have done that.
Yeah. And then like we're doing I'm sure you've seen like a lot of the animatics that people have put out from various shows, like for example, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where they're like fully animated basically. But even on the Great North, we're doing a lot of poses like, to get that like really nuanced character acting and stuff like that. So essentially the job that people do now is like a lot of stuff packed into one thing that's called storyboarding. And sometimes people ask you to do like Scratch or like on storyboard driven shows. Maybe you just have to write the whole episode yourself. Like, so.
So it's a lot of hats under this one umbrella term. Okay.
And that's really like, that's what a lot of storyboarders have been sort of fighting against, especially with the negotiations like this past year and stuff like that. Just because when you think about it, like with inflation and everything, we're actually getting paid less than we were doing less. And now we're doing all of these things, but we're getting paid less. So
just a more defined job description, I guess, is what you.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the genie's kind of out of the bottle at this point. And, but it would be nice to not have really short schedules and maybe get paid a little bit more. Because it's hard and people work really hard and then they get tired and then so
God, yeah, can only imagine. So going over to DreamWorks, obviously you started working in 3D animation at that point.
So this actually was a 2D crude show. I have done some 3D stuff on what was that show called with the Disney characters, children. It's not Disenchantment, obviously. It's the other one. Something. I don't know.
I'll insert it at the bottom whenever I figure it out at 2 in the morning.
I can look it up. So we did like a Crude's TV 2D series. And that was when I had kids. So I was like, I'm going to take an easy job for a bit. So that's
was it indeed an easy job?
Yeah, because I was doing revisions at that point. So I basically told them like up front, I was like, I only want to work a half week and I'm going to do like this. Not to say that revisions is easy compared to other things, but it's easier than storyboarding. Like a more finite, thing.
It was great that they allowed you to do that too, because I mean, they could have easily said, "No, we need you for X amount of days, and we need you to work." So
yeah, I don't even know why they let me do that, but I'm grateful. So
so that brings us to, unless I'm missing anything, I don't think my no. Did you also work on Velma? Am I getting this correct?
yeah, that was a from an artistic standpoint was really great show. Like the design department was really awesome.
Hmm.
The animation looked so good when it came back. I was really proud of what we did. So
Hmm.
yeah,
See, and that brings us to, of course, the Great North. Why we're all here. You all can see the background here. We love the Great North. As you stated, you were a lifelong fan of the Great North. Saw every episode. You knew exactly what you were getting into. So what was it like to realize? I mean, obviously you didn't know the show, like you said, but to realize, oh, this is the next thing, and it's a bento box entertainment show. They're known for Bob's Burgers. They're kind of an established studio at this point. They're the in-house studio for Disney or Fox, I believe it is.
Fox, yeah.
Fox. So it was like going into the Great North.
So I actually honestly really do like the Great North.
Of course.
Now, just
Yeah.
to be clear,
Yeah.
because a lot of the times, because I have so much experience in adult comedy,
Mhm.
some of the shows that I've worked on are not exactly what I would choose to work on.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just, okay, well, I need a job and I'm going to take this one.
Yeah.
Or like it's with somebody who you like, and so you know you're going to have a good work environment,
Yeah.
thing which can be more important perhaps than whether you like the show or not.
Mhm.
But a lot of adult comedy to me is kind of mean.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I'm not down for like the, everybody is a jerk sort of characters. And I think that you can do that well if
Mhm.
it's written really well. Like you could show like shining glimmers of why you're going to care about this character.
Mhm.
But The Great North was very positive to me in that the characters really do love each other.
Yeah.
They can have problems, but a lot of times, almost every episode has a little thing where they support each other or something like that. And to me, that's really important,
Mhm.
especially, because again, I don't watch a lot of stuff. And part of the reasons I don't is because I don't want to watch anything depressing or
Yeah.
scary or, I'm just like, life is hard enough as it is. I want to watch something that is
Amen.
sweet and makes me feel better or some kind
Mhm.
of escape or something. So that's what I like about the Great North. And so once I did start working on it, I was like, oh, this is nice. I'm so glad
Mhm.
I'm on this show. Yeah.
That's the great thing with bento box shows, and I guess specifically like Lauren Bouchard led shows, Bob's Burgers, The Great North, Central Park. They're families that aren't afraid to show that they love each other. We're not shitting on each other for the sake of a joke, not pointing any fingers, Family Guy, but but it and that has its place. But it's refreshing to see a show that like they'll give each other grief, but at the end of the day, like we're gonna hug and everybody loves each other and it's fine and it's fun. Not to mention how inclusive the shows are,
Yeah,
which is
that's really
really great too.
important too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, I just think I think it's really nice, and
mhm.
everything about it really is nice. So,
Now, as a director, and I'm not too familiar with the director, especially on like an animated project, but what does, and I guess we can use the elevator pitch here, what does the process of being a director, how does that work in an animated show from start to finish?
so that varies a lot based on the pipeline and how like each show wants to work.
Hmm.
But on the Great North, what happens is I start on the episode early, um, and I'm looking through the script and I'm looking for anything that could be potentially harder or needs like more like digging into it before the storyboard crew starts.
Okay.
So like on the first episode, because I can talk about that one, uh, the fourth one actually, the Beaver episode.
Yes.
So again, I don't watch horror movies like at all, and it's a horror movie parody. So I had to be like, well, what movies do I need to watch? And he's like, haven't you seen Scream or whatever? And I'm like, no. So I must have watched like, I don't know, like clips from or on fast forward, like
Of
probably
course.
20 different horror movies or something like that. And I was like Googling like on YouTube, like scary car scene or and then there's like this Japanese one I had to watch where this lady's like jumping out at people and I'm like, oh my God, no.
Oh, Japanese horror films are some of the worst. I love horror films, but even those kind of like give me the creeps.
So that's what I did to sort of prep for that episode. And then what we do on the Great North is the director will essentially pull in the script to Storyboard Pro and then do like a bunch of sketches for like ideas for shots or like drawing like a map of the location. So like I was looking for pre-existing backgrounds that we could potentially use. Because you don't want to, blow out everybody having to draw 40 million backgrounds. So I'm like, which part of the forest can we like set this damn thing in? And like, how can we do this part? And that sort of thing. So you're basically making like a pack to sort of give the storyboard team like a head start, basically. And then, and they don't do that necessarily on a lot of other shows, but the show is on previously to that also did that. A lot of times they call it pre-thumb.
Okay.
So thumbnailing, so pre-thumb. So then ideally you would know what your storyboard team is good at. But of course I had never worked with these people before.
Yeah.
So I had to ask Will, I'm like, okay, who's good at action parts? Like who's good at acting? And then you try to give each person a good amount of things and divide it in a way that's somewhat equal. So a lot of times the scripts on the Great North are kind of long. They're like 47 pages or something like that.
Wow.
Hold on. Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's 47 pages.
Jeezy Pete.
You can't see this because it's from an episode that hasn't come out yet, but but yeah, so then we have 4 storyboard artists plus me. So I usually do like a little bit, but I don't want to do too much because I want to have time to dig into everything. So a lot of times I would do like, I don't know, like maybe 5 pages myself. And I would pick whatever the part that had like feelings.
The least scariest bit, yeah.
Yeah, and then I would I try to give each person something that I thought they would be like particularly good at, basically. But then also like not too many pages.
Yeah.
So each person would do like about 10, 11, 12 pages, depending on how long the script is and that sort of thing. So then we have 1 week to do thumbnails, which is basically we do all 47 pages, and it's not even a whole week because you launch like midday on like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock on Monday. Like everything's due like Thursday
Jesus
at some point.
Christ.
So I'm just telling you, like my storyboard artists are beasts. They're like, let's do this. They're like, what? And here it is. So we thumbnail like pretty rough, but there is some acting in there just to hit the beats. And we're just seeing like if we like it, the shots are good, everything's like reading well and everything's clear. So I'll go over that and then make any changes that I want to make, and then I send it to Will, and Will's like, well, actually I think it should be more like this, and I'll be like, yes, you're right. And then we put it all together as animatic and then show it to Wendy and Lizzie, and sometimes Joel. And then we take their notes, and then the next few weeks, basically, we apply all of that and make a nice, pretty version.
Yep.
And because I like acting a lot of times I'll get a scene and I'm like, this is great, but also it would be fun if it did this little thing over here, So that's my job, basically.
So as the director, and something that the show's been doing for the last 3 seasons is they've hidden Yetis in every single episode. Is that something as a director you get a say, or who determines where that Yeti ends up and how?
It's pretty much the director.
It is? Okay.
At the when we get, I forget at the exact point that we do it, but it's basically like we finished a major deadline,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, maybe I should lay down. And then like one of the guys will be like, "Hey, what about that Yeti?" And I'll be like, "All right, here we go." But usually what we do is I'll go through the animatic and just kind of look for wherever would be a few fun places for it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I will do a little dirty sketch of where like 5 different options. We send that to Wendy and Lizzie,
Okay.
and they say, "I want option 4," and then we do it. So
It has been fun playing. We've started this season a kind of running series on our page where we spot the Yeti, and every Monday we'll post a little screenshot of where it's at. But it's been harder and harder, so you guys are definitely keeping us on our toes.
I felt like mine were pretty easy, but like in the last episode that we did, Will was like, "You need to make the Yeti a little harder to find." So we'll see if you guys spot him in the last one.
Yeah, I didn't want to say yours was easy, but we definitely found it. There was
Yeah,
one like last week where it was a pulled out shot of the entire bay, and it was just like this tiny little thing in the background. We think that's it, but it's
honestly, I don't even remember where I put it. So
oh,
sorry.
I'd have to pull.
Yeah.
Um, so I think your episode, this particular one, is the first, maybe the second, but it has no opening credits. Was that like the normal intro song and all that? Was that a choice you got to make, or was that just in the script and they're like, no, this is a special intro that we're doing?
Yeah, I actually don't know about that part. That wasn't something that I was involved with. So
Hmm, okay. That was very cool. Very cool. So you mentioned that that script is from an episode that you're working on that hasn't aired yet. How many episodes, if you can tell us, are you credited with this season as far as directing goes?
yeah, I think it's 5.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm really
Hmm.
happy about it. Each one of the episodes has something that I really like about it. So
Have you been able to squeeze in any feelings or fantasy stuff?
yeah, well,
Oh,
I
nice.
the next episode because they've released, the teaser images.
Hmm.
It's like Ghouls Rush In. It's one of my favorite ones, and we got a little bit of pirate flavor in there, so that's
Nice.
um, they they have sort of what is it, Spirit Halloween? Yeah, they have like Spirit
Mhm.
Halloween pirate costumes
Oh,
because
okay.
they're not going to have a nice pirate costume like me because that wouldn't be accurate to their characters.
No.
Uh,
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I can tell you a little bit in that there, without spoiling
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
there is some really awesome wolf stuff in this episode, and I was just so pleased with how it turned out. And it's Will Forte, right?
Mhm.
It's
Yep, yep.
Will Forte. His reads for this episode were just so funny
Uh-huh.
that it really, we were just like, oh, we gotta go hard on this scene because his read was so good.
Mhm.
And then after they saw that, it was Jen Shang, I think, did the first one that was like really, I can't even say what it is because I don't want to spoil it,
Of
but
course, yeah.
um, it was just really, she did a great job making this really funny scene. And then after we saw that, we were like, we need to make them all like this. So we like went back through the episode and looked for parts where we could make Wolf particularly this way,
Mhm.
and it was great. And then Will really fought for the animation to be super nice
Mhm.
for those segments, because everybody's got limitations and budget and time
Yeah.
and everything, so you can't always have like, I don't remember who sings that song. You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get
Oh,
what you need.
you get what you need. That's not the Rolling
Yeah,
Stones.
something like that. One of my friends in college, he did a short to that, and I just always remember it because literally in animation, you were TV animation in particular, you were fighting for good enough, basically,
Mhm.
and you can work really, really hard, and you can't always get everything that you want
Yeah, yeah.
because there's limitations, budgets, and time, and nobody needs to be murdered over cartoons, like, so a lot of times when stuff comes back, like I specifically remember like something I had to do that had woolly mammoths, and I did this whole pack of like, this is how a woolly mammoth moves because elephants don't run like regular quadrupeds, and I like got all super into like nerdy, and it came back and I was like, it just wasn't as beautiful as I wanted it to be. So when this episode of The Great North came back and I saw the wolf animation for these particular parts, I was just like, oh, it's beautiful. I'm so happy. It's just like, it looks so good. And immediately I was like, Will, how does it look so good? And he's like, I fought for those scenes. I'm like, thank you. I love you so much,
It's wild. It feels like ever since like the Bob's Burgers movie came out, 2022, it seems like the Great North has benefited and Bob's Burgers has benefited because now they can kind of make these cinematic shots that seem very movie-like. Like the episode where Wolf was on the island by himself and he tapped out after like 8 hours. There's like shots.
My favorite episodes.
Yeah, when they pull out and it's just like a landscape shot and it looks like out of a movie. It looks like a Disney movie and it looks fantastic. And that's a credit to the artist there. That the show just keeps getting better and better looking, and it's amazing.
So, I mean, like a lot of that is sort of a stylistic choice in like what shots you're going to use because like just making a conscious choice that this is the way that we're going to go with the show, that we're going to use like a wider shot, and you're going to give it time to be beautiful. And the backgrounds really are beautiful in the show. So yeah, thanks for noticing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not my episode, but that was a great.
No, your episode was fantastic. Like the shots where
DeMille did such a good job on that episode. It's so funny. Every time he gets hit by the car, I'm like, oh, this is the best.
She's like, just drive off. Nobody saw.
It's so funny. And like when he flips out and that like weird little wooden man, like it makes me laugh every single time.
We actually had Nick and Anthony on, the writers of that episode, and we were asking them like, what stories did you pull from? Because it seems very horror-esque as well when he kind of makes that flip. But they were fantastic too. So such a good episode. Such a good episode. But your episode in particular, like the scenes where they're telling the story about the beaver and it's just like lightning flash, and it's the beaver in different positions, or he's tearing through the roof. So yeah, your episode had shots too. Let's not bury the lead there.
Cool, thanks.
So you're a couple episodes into your stint here at the Great North. Do you have, other than Will Forte's character, of course, do you have other characters you like to work with?
I mean, I really like all the characters. I love Honeybee and Wolf's relationship. I think it's super sweet. I love that they're like nerdy and weird. I love Beef. In general, I like those slightly tsundere type characters, that are like a little bit grumpy, but then, when they smile, you're like, oh, it's so cute, I don't know. I like all the characters. My daughter's favorite character is Moon.
Of course.
So yeah, we have some really good Wolf and Honeybee stuff in a couple episodes. So
nice.
Yeah.
So of course you've been in the industry here for a while. Does it still get exciting to see your work on the screen?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think so that's one of the positives of TV animation as opposed to feature, in that there's so much that changes and gets sort of trashed in feature. And then the final thing is beautiful, but there might not be that much of what you made that is directly in the final one. Whereas in this, like, it really is like it's what we drew, and there it is. Like, I made that, well, me and my team.
Of course.
And it's very fulfilling to be like, okay, well, we as a group made this choice, and if you make a bad choice, you're like, like maybe I shouldn't have drawn that mouth that way. I see how it came back looking kind of weird, But overall, it's very fulfilling. And especially, I legitimately like this show.
Of
So
course.
it's also nice. Sometimes I work on stuff and I'm just like, you can watch it if you want, I guess.
Well, do you tend to, like, when you see something as a final product, and obviously you see it long before we do, but are you able to enjoy it as what it is, or do you kind of go through it, at least on the first viewing, with oh, I could have changed that, and I could have changed that, and that, and that, and that, and it takes a couple viewings before you go, you know what, this is good?
Maybe a little bit of both, but I
Mhm.
think it's very difficult with something that you made very laboriously to
Mhm.
remove yourself from, and just be able to watch it.
Mhm.
And like you see it so many times, like each scene I've seen so many times, and
Mhm.
oh, we're gonna fix this hand here, we're gonna do all this stuff. So it is pretty hard to watch, but I do enjoy it, and
Mhm.
uh, it's nice because at least at the point that you guys see it, it's fully animated, so it's been
Mhm.
touched by more people.
Mhm.
Because I feel like watching my own raw stuff, like watching something that I made like a year ago, where it's just the part that I made,
Yeah, yeah.
like, you know. Um, but after it's been touched by other people, then I can appreciate the things that they brought to it. I can
Mhm.
be like, oh, that background was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And oh, look how nicely animated that is. So then it makes it easier for me to watch it. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Well, I would be kicking myself if I didn't ask you about Japan Eye, A Tall Girl's Adventure in Japan. Your book that came out in well, okay, so
Long
my
time,
notes have told me the book came about from 2 trips in Japan in 2005 and 2006.
probably.
So so obviously from South Carolina, like you said,
Yeah.
why Japan? I mean, I understand Japan. I went there for my honeymoon. Love Japan so much. What was your fascination with Japan?
Well, I mean, it really just sprang from animation initially.
Mhm.
Um, so, and it also came from my nerdy hobbies. So, don't look too closely at the background, but I'm just like a sort of a,
I don't know if you see.
yeah, I'm sort of a hoarder. So, and like I love like toys and
Mhm.
dolls, things like that. Obviously, I'm into anime. I mean, I just don't consider anime as like separate from animation. Like it's just
Mhm.
all. I just love all animation.
Yeah.
So, and I would go to anime conventions. I cosplay. So then, and some of my best friends, like we literally have a daily text chat, are from cosplay. Like, we met through Lord of the Rings costuming.
Okay.
And so my best friends, two of my best friends anyway, one was Gimli. It's a woman who dressed as Gimli, and she like made the whole beard herself, and she's like super hardcore. And then the other one is the Rain Wraith. So like we're just constantly chatting, and I don't even know how we decided we were going to go to Japan, but we all liked these very specific dolls that were from Japan. And at least when we first went to Japan,
Mhm.
there was no way to really get them here. You had to get like a shopping service to go buy the doll for you.
Mhm.
And you know how things are in Japan, like they have like very special places, like
Mhm.
sometimes for brands,
Mhm.
like themed cafes. And this company, Volks, they had like, what they call it? It was like, it's called Tenshino Sato, and it's like I think it translates roughly to like Angel's Nest or something.
Okay.
It was this special doll place that you could go, and you could like adopt a doll like it was a Cabbage Patch Kid, and they had this whole
Uh-huh.
ceremony and everything. And I definitely wanted to do that. So I like texting my friends AJ and Judy, hey, what if we went to Japan and did this?
This,
Um,
this actually sounds like an episode of Bob's Burgers, by the way. They have this cafe where they go have lunch with these dolls, and they adopt these dolls, and it's
yeah,
essentially like these American Girl style dolls.
yeah,
So it sounds like that. So okay, so you wanted to adopt a doll in Japan, of course. So then you
yeah.
decided to just go.
And it's really cool too because they have this. I can't even remember. It's like oh. Apparently, I still remember. It's called the full choice system. So I paid a shopping service to go and do the full choice system for me.
Okay.
And they had to scan the catalog and everything. So I picked like what color the eyeballs were going to be, all the body parts and everything. And the idea was that it would be done because that you had to do it like several months in advance, and then they paint the doll for you and everything. Get them like example pictures, how you want your face to be done. So the plan is that the doll would be ready before I went to Japan, and then I would have my special full choice system doll, and then I would adopt it, in the Japanese, beautiful showroom with, freaking angel dolls everywhere and everything. So
it sounds like everything's going to go to plan, though. It sounds like everything's going to go exactly like you wanted it to.
It pretty much did. There was only a few things like that we did poorly, because the same brain that obsessively researched animation also obsessively researched everything about our Japan trip before we went.
Same.
We had a pretty great time, but it was like super nerdy. Like we went to Harajuku and like dressed up in like Japanese pop fashion. We went to like weird cafes where like there was like a jail cafe we went to, where you have to like say the password before you go in, and they'll like, put a cell, and then of course they play Michael Jackson for I don't know what reason, and there's guys with plastic knives and
classic jail setting. Setting.
So we did all kinds of stuff like that. I think the only thing that happened that was kind of bad was, so I'm really tall, and they lost my luggage like going into Japan.
That's
if
you've never been to Japan, folks, they're not the tallest of people either.
There were a few people we saw that were tall, but I'm 6 feet and I'm chubby, so finding clothes, there's not a Target or a Walmart.
There's not.
And I'll just buy a sweatshirt, so I had to wear my friend Judy's clothes for like a couple days until they had my clothes. And so that was not fun. And then the other thing we did is we accidentally got on the wrong train at one point.
That can happen.
So instead of the regular train, we accidentally got on the Nozomi, which is like the super fast train.
Yeah.
And it was going the wrong direction. And so then, we had to somehow convince like the train people that we were not trying to steal a ticket.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I really don't want to be here. Actually, like I'm supposed to be going this way, and I had like an interview set up that day as well. So then we had to reschedule the interview with the special doll people.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what happened. So they made us stand like in between the two cars because they were like, oh, stupid Americans. And like we had to figure out how to use the phone system on the train, which was very difficult for me. Probably easier now, but
I would say we went in 2018 and things were much easier. Like everything's in English at this point, and it's so hard to kind of screw anything up.
I don't remember where we were when this happened because we were doing a lot of stuff. Like we also went to Takarazuka, which is like the all women's theater thing there.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy, like when you're in Kyoto and Tokyo, like most people speak English. But I think we might have been like in that theater town.
Okay. Yeah, a little harder there.
Yeah, there was not very many people who spoke English there. So but that was a long time ago.
I remember when we went, and we didn't do too many of the fun cafes. Like we went to a bird cafe. We had time to kill before we went to like the Studio Ghibli Museum. So we were walking around and we just stumbled into this cafe. We just walk in, there's just birds all over the place. We're like, what the hell is this? And they serve you your food in like a little bird cage.
That's so cute.
I think there was an owl cafe that we didn't get to.
Yeah,
we were in Kyoto and we came off the I don't know what it's called, but I called it the Monkey Mountain because you walk up the mountain, there's just monkeys everywhere. The people are the ones in the cage, and you kind of just see the monkeys that way, which is dope. They say, don't look them in the eyes. I'm like, okay, so rip your face off or something. But yeah, we only had two bad things happen to us, I guess. I fell asleep on the train. My wife was wide awake. but there was this dad and his little girl. They were looking for a place to sit down, and he sat down next to me, but left a little space for his girl to sit down, and she started crying. And he was trying to console her. Like, no, it's okay. And my wife was apologizing and asking what was wrong. And apparently, because I have tattoos, I have tattoos.
Yeah.
And I guess he mentioned like Yakuza, and we're like, no, we're from Florida.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
When we went to my friend AJ, the ring wraith, she has some quite large tattoos, and we really wanted to go to an onsen when we were there.
Yeah.
So we had to ask. We had a friend who basically ran a shopping service, and we like stayed in her apartment and stuff. So we were like, where can we go that like will let white people in, and also people with tattoos? So yeah, but definitely nobody would get in the same pool with us, and we were just kind of joking like, is it because there's like a bunch of giant white ladies in here, or is it because he has a full body tattoo? I'm not really sure what it is.
I was like, no, we're from Florida, and I'm Filipino. No, Yakuza here. No Yakuza here. And then it's in hindsight, it was a little messed up, but I can't be mad at it. We went to go find a restaurant to eat after a long day of just walking around Kyoto, and we found this nice restaurant. We were going to go to it. We were looking at the menu. A gentleman came outside. I'm like, oh, table for 4, please. And he's like, no service. I'm like, oh, you're closing? He's like, oh, no. And then he points to his arm, and I'm like, oh, you're being racist right now, but you're so nice about it.
I mean, he might have been talking about your tattoos. That
no, because all the other people were with us. So he's like, no. And like, oh,
wow.
I was like, I can't be mad. You're saying it with a smile, and it's so hard to be upset with you right now because you're so polite. But fucked up, man.
I know there are a few places where they basically don't want you to come in if you can't speak Japanese because they just don't have like anything to cater to you.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that, and not really as well. But
well, maybe we just went to McDonald's, I guess. But it was.
No, you can't go to McDonald's in Japan.
McDonald's in Burger, like after you spend like 16 hours just walking around, you like I could try to find something, or I could just get a comfort food and crash on the bed till I have to wake up in 5 hours and do it all again. So a lot of times we kind of fell back on comfort food, but
I'm judging you.
We're going back. I think for our 10-year anniversary. So I'll make up for that.
Well, I think it's still a pretty good time to go because of the weakness of the yen. So I wish I could go right now.
Yeah, it's we're trying to find a good time to go because you don't want to go when it's too cold. Last time we went was in June, so we just missed like Golden Week, which is thank God.
Oh, it's so hot in the summer though.
It is.
I would go like in the spring or the fall if you can because it's so beautiful. Like the falling leaves or sakura season is really beautiful. But the first time we went in winter and we had a great time. So
I bet winter in Japan's amazing.
Yeah. It was really beautiful. Like we woke up and it was like snowing, and we definitely had like some scheduling problems because of the snow. But, we're all from California. We're like, it's snowing.
It's like we want to go, but at the same time, like around springtime, that's when everybody goes.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, we want to see the fields of flowers, and we want to see obviously the cherry blossoms and blah 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 blah. We actually just got back about 2 weeks ago from Amsterdam.
Wow.
And we because it was her spring break, and we were hoping that the tulip fields would be in bloom, but they don't bloom until like mid-April. But beyond that, lovely country, love it out there. But yeah, hopefully get out there too.
I love traveling.
Same.
A lot of times I'll travel with my friends AJ and Judy. I guess the last time we got a chance to go somewhere was we went to France, and that was really fun. So, yeah.
Nice. Never been. We
super long list. I just because animation is so volatile right now. It feels very, very risky to spend a lot of money going on vacation. So
we try to do like one trip a year because we're classic dual income, no kids, so we're like, fuck it, let's go. But yeah, that I don't know how we're affording to do it, but somehow we're going.
Well, we're all gonna die at some point, and at least you're having fun.
Amen. What the worst they can do is turn off my phone. Then that's one less bill I have to pay. We're fine.
Yeah. Gotta go
So
before your joints don't work anymore. So
yeah, I already got a bad back and bad neck. My body's telling me, hey, you're on borrowed time, my guy. Let's
go
get out there.
all those places. I don't regret any of my trips. It's the
Mm-mm.
best things I've done in my life have been going on trips with friends. So
Yeah, like I said, and like last year we went to the Philippines, which was great because I got to see family like for the first time in 20, 30 years. Holy shit. And then yeah, in fact, I don't know what you're doing in December, but tickets to Tokyo are like $800 out of LA.
oh,
Just heads up. We found
oh,
it for like $840. Just
yeah.
you know.
I don't know.
Uh,
I think if I went this time because my kids are old enough, I would think I would have to go with my kids. They're like
yes.
little baby nerds. So
Yeah. If you can do the Studio Ghibli Museum, which is a headache in and of itself because you got to
I
book
love
it.
it. Yeah, it's beautiful.
You been?
Hmm.
Wasn't that such a pain in the ass to try to book tickets to that though?
Yeah, but you know what? Like we were already doing like the weirdest shit. Like that was not the hardest thing. Seriously, getting tickets to Takarazuka was like really hard.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember having to like hold my phone up and try to like Google Translate in real time while trying to book the tickets because they go so fast and you can only get them online. It's got to be like 3 months in advance and um, but the book was did the idea for the book come after the trips or do you like what I'm as the trip was happening like I should turn this into a little book.
So I never thought that it was going to be a thing,
Mhm.
but I just really wanted to remember our trip. And I think this was the first time I went out of the country. And before then, I was like, oh, that's for rich people. I can't do that.
Mhm.
But I seriously just like tried to save my money like really hard for a year. And then I felt like, well, I've saved this money. I can go.
Mhm.
Um, so when we were there, I had a notebook with me, and then every time we were on the train or like before we went to bed, I would write down what we did that day and how I felt about it, and I do like little sketches, just to help me like remember. And then when we got back, just for fun, like at that point, I was doing a lot of like daily, like 1 to 3 panel little comic drawings, sort of.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, what if I just took like some funny things that happened on our trip and I did some little comics about that. And so I really was just doing it like for me and my friends. But I think so. I'm sort of friends with Wendy Peeney, and she's like ElfQuest, and she's friends with Audrey Taylor, who was the person who was the publisher. Um,
Mhm.
and so I think she followed me for that reason. I don't even know how they found me. I think it was something like that.
Mhm.
But they were like, what if you turn this into a book? Because I'd already done like probably 50 little like one shot funny comics about my trip at that point. And I was
Mhm.
like, sure, that's fine. So that's why it doesn't like the only negative reviews for that book are basically like, there's not really a plot here. And I'm like, that's because it was actually a trip. There's not a theme.
Mhm.
It's a real trip.
And any desire to go on more trips and turn them into books, or is this is kind of like a one-off? Hey, this happened, this was fun, but I don't want to turn my trips into jobs now.
I mean, I definitely would enjoy doing that because it's a way for me to process and remember my trips. Literally, if somebody would pay me to do that as a
Hmm.
job, like all the time,
Hmm.
I would not be talking to you right now. I would
Yeah.
be like, hey, let's go. Yeah, I would love to do that. I had so much fun doing it, and that would be great. So
Yeah, if I could find a job that would pay me to travel, other than like air attendant or flight attendant, I would do it in a heartbeat.
yeah.
God, traveling's so much fun. If you haven't, folks, get out and travel, see the world. There's more than just a Walmart and a Target.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, seriously, I took like the cheapest possible way to get to Beijing, like with
Mm.
like frequent flyer miles and stuff, and it took me a million years to get there. Like, it must have been like I don't know, like 20 hours or something crazy.
Oof.
And then the next day we went to the Forbidden City or the Forbidden Palace. I can't. Forbidden City, I think.
City, I think.
Um,
City sounds right.
and we stayed there from opening until they kicked us out, and I just remember thinking, fuck yeah, I would do that again.
Hmm.
Like if I had to go home right now and it took me 20 hours to get home, this day was worth it. And we did a whole bunch of other stuff that was super fun. But yeah, I loved traveling. Even though my legs are too long for the seat.
I am 5'2". I am enjoying everything. Everything is perfect. That's how it was when in South Korea. And sorry, folks, this slowly turned into a travel blog all of a sudden. But we went to South Korea, and obviously we saw all the sites, and we went to the DMZ, which is interesting in theory, but when you get there, it's essentially just a wide open field, and you're like, all right, this. You expect to get there and like, oh, it's black and white over there, and it's totally different. But it's like, it's nothing. But then like later that day, we took a pedal bike tour down this decommissioned railroad track on the countryside of South Korea, and they turned all the tunnels into like mini discos. It's all fitted with lights and music, and you just pedal out and you come out of the dark, and it just opens up to like the countryside and like this river, and it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. South Korea's go to South Korea, everybody, or Japan, or the Philippines, or China. It's amazing.
Well, I have a friend who moved to Portugal, so maybe I'll visit her. That would be fun.
There you go. Visit your friends if they live in cool places. If they live in like Virginia, don't bother.
I also have a friend living in Japan now too, so I feel like
all you got to do is get there.
Yeah,
she can't turn you away once you get there. It's rude.
I do that. I'm lots of
fun. Okay, so as we wrap it up here, are there any, and obviously not just cartoons, not just shows, but anything in general that you're really enjoying these days, whether it be books or YouTube videos on gardening or anything?
I mean, I basically have grandma hobbies. So like I sew, I garden, I cook, I make cakes. That's what I'm into basically. And then me and my kids go to the LARP. So we, dress up like fantasy characters and go hit people with foam sticks, and it's lots of fun. I would recommend it.
And actually, my co-host, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, he has a son too, and he has a couple of questions that I'm just seeing here, specifically about being a parent and working in art and doing all that. What's it like in the art world and balancing life as a parent?
Yeah, so it is pretty difficult just because our jobs are so demanding, especially when you get to like a supervising level, because there's not really an out time. Like, you're supposed to work 40 hours when you're like a regular worker, but when you're a director or higher, they basically kind of bought you. So you do have to kind of put some boundaries on that, I think. And again, like you can't always get what you want, and sometimes you have to say like, this is good enough. You did a really good job, and I do not need to stay up till midnight working on this, making it absolutely perfect. I don't think that's healthy for anybody, even if they don't have kids. So I think just like finding ways that you can have time with your family and trying to set some boundaries. But I do feel like there's still kind of a stigma. Maybe it's not just in animation, but like when I started, animation was kind of a boys' club. And so it felt very scary to have kids, because the thought is that like, well, if a guy has kids, he has a wife to take care of the kids.
Right.
But as me being the wife, like, where's my wife? And take care of my kids.
Yeah.
My husband helps out a lot, to be fair. And I think, you just have to have a good partner. And you have to, set time that you're going to be with your kids. It helps a lot to be working from home, because, like, let's say I'm waiting for notes on something and I legitimately don't have anything for work that I have to do. I can go outside, take a walk, work in the garden, do something with my kids for a minute. I've got my phone with me in case it pops up and I'm like, oh, I've got to go back to work,
Yeah.
But I think that's very helpful. And I don't know, I just try to work really efficiently. Like, I really hate when things keep me from doing what I need to be doing. And so I think by working smarter, I do work very hard, but I try to work very efficiently, and I set my quotas for my day. Like if I do this much work, then I will be on schedule. And so then it kind of, I think that sort of helps like to keep your work-life balance a little bit better. But a lot of women in animation actually end up messaging me about like, how do you possibly even have kids and still have a job? And you can definitely do it, but it's a sacrifice. So.
Yeah, it seems insane because we know like Mario, for example, he's got 2 daughters as well. I'm like, how does anybody do like how does anybody be a parent in a normal 9 to 5, let alone in an industry as demanding as animation is?
It's hard, and you know, Will has daughters too, and I think I always felt like with the Great North team that there was more understanding that you know we have kids, like it's okay if you need a second, you know, or you know, allowing me to work from home, for example, was really helpful. So, yeah.
Are you able to have a very distinct, this is my work time, this is my lifetime severance style where like once you're done, and you kind of turn it off?
I do try to do that, but I think it depends on what I feel that the job needs. Sometimes I feel like you have to pull one for the team to some degree. You know, like if there's a problem, like sometimes I end up working later. But most of the time, I really try to stick to my 8 hours. With directing, a lot of times you work a little bit more than that, and that's just you're getting paid more, and that's what you're expected to do. So,
as a director, it seems kind of like first one in, last one out kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. But again, I don't want to promote that sort of
course.
You know, like sometimes I do that, but I don't want anybody else to do that. Yeah, I just don't think it's good. Like I had this person once, and he was like, "Oh, if you want to be the best, like you got to work like super late all the time. You got to work more than anybody else." And I was just like, I really disagree with you.
Yeah, that doesn't work for any job.
And I don't know if I want to be the best. I don't have to be the best. Like I want to have a good life, and a lot of times, like you know how I can't even remember those episodes that I did in the past. And you're like, where did you do this? And I'm like, I don't know. Literally, like nobody will remember this in like 5 years. And I worked so hard, and I'm so proud of what we made. But if you literally kill yourself, and like a lot of people in animation have like shoulder and wrist pain, arthritis, and, you know, 25-year-olds with arthritis, you know, and stuff like that. So you're literally destroying your body for a cartoon that nobody will remember in 5 years. You know? So I do work really hard, but I do think that there has to be a work-life balance. So you've got to find where that point is for you, where you feel good about it. But we're getting old. Like, go travel.
Amen.
Go play with your kids. Go be a weirdo in the forest with a cape. Like, do all that stuff, you know, like, because drawing all day, like, until your hand falls off, like, I just don't think it's good. So
yeah, it's that classic saying, you don't live to work, you work to live. So it's
I mean, I think a lot of us in animation, to some degree, we're just so obsessed with animation that there's this feeling of that, like, oh, I gotta be the best. I gotta like get better. And I gotta take all these classes. You know, so I get it, but I do think that you should every once in a while, you know, reevaluate your life. And, is this where I'm going? Is this really what I want to be doing? You know, so. Yeah,
and Japan seems pretty cool right about now, so maybe just hop on a flight and just go on out there. But let's end on
finish this job. Maybe I can just like go somewhere.
Okay, LA to Japan. That's only about 10 hours. Under by $700. Just saying. Pretty cool Christmas present. Is there anything you'd like to plug as we wrap up here? Let anything at all that folks should know about?
Not really. I mean, I'm working on an NBA project, so I can't tell you about that. I guess I would just say, and I feel like people probably know this, but the animation industry and entertainment industry in general in the last couple of years has really been hit pretty hard. And so a lot of people are out of work. A lot of projects are not being greenlit. Things getting canceled and deleted and stuff like that. Budgets cut, all kinds of stuff like that. And I would just say that if you really love something, you got to watch it. And you got to tell all your friends to watch it, or it probably won't exist. So you, as the viewers, do have some power over stuff like that because they look at the numbers. So be loud.
And maybe this is too much into the weeds, does streaming numbers count just as much these days? Because I mean, everybody watches streaming now on like Hulu. Nobody watches it traditional.
I don't know specifically if they weight it more, but I do. I have heard that they weight when you watch it, and whether you watch the whole thing or like that kind of thing. And whether I think they also look at like new viewers potentially. So you can get your friends to watch your favorite show, you know, have them watch The Great War, you know, that kind of thing. I think it's important to watch it as soon as possible because they look at the numbers for the episode when it comes out. And I don't know specifically about The Great North about that. I'm just talking like
in general. Yeah. Well, Aimee, I really appreciate you sitting down with me this afternoon. It's fantastic. Can't wait to see your next episode.
It's great. And talented.
So you got 5 episodes this season.
Yeah.
Do you know where they fall as far as like production goes?
So mine's always like the 4th one.
Okay.
So they just keep them in. Well, they might have changed them up a little bit, but I'm pretty sure when I looked at the schedule, mine's the 4th one. So, so every 4 episodes is my one.
I know sometimes it's always screwy because sometimes an episode will be like 5th in production, but it won't get shown till like the end of the season. Sometimes
sometimes they change it, but it looks like I think they're keeping it relatively like that. But they might change it. I mean, I never know when stuff is happening. So
same. We ask questions like the hell we don't know.
Yeah, because there could be a hockey game, and then they're like,
"Oh my god,
airing this week," and I'm like, "What?"
Sorry, we have NASCAR. You got to take a back seat for a second.
No, I don't do sports, so I'm gonna hurt.
Fair enough. Well, Aimee, thank you again, and hopefully this isn't the last time our paths cross. We usually find ourselves out in San Diego Comic-Con, so if you're ever out there, swing by and say hey.
I don't go there anymore.
It's much better behind a counter. We go there and we work with like Toddland, who does all the merchandise and stuff. So behind the table, it is so much better.
Well, I used to booth there. We would booth there like every year and like sell our comics and stuff like that.
Oh, nice, yeah.
But it's so much.
It is.
I just did, you know, I now I'm more interested in doing things that are specific and have a smaller group of friends. Less BO.
Yeah, oh God. Amen. I don't know how many times I got to do this when I'm checking somebody out.
Yeah, like last year I was like, what if we rent a pirate ship and have a party and everybody dresses up? And I did that instead of going to Comic-Con. So
that sounds dope as hell, though. I don't know where one would get a pirate ship to rent, but
yeah, San Diego.
California has everything. You need a pirate ship with a working cannon. We got you.
Yeah, they let us rent the HMS Surprise, which is the ship from Master and Commander.
Okay.
And we all dressed up like pirates and like took photos. And then there's this bar down there called the Captain's Quarters or something. It looks like the inside of Captain's Quarters. And so we all came in there in pirate outfits and we're like, hey. So I don't know what we're gonna do this year. Maybe we'll like go to the beach and be mermaids or something. Like
just jump in the ocean and hope for the best.
Well, you know, something fun. Yeah. So, or I'll go to another country, and I'd rather do that than go to Comic-Con. Sorry, Comic-Con guys.
No, yeah. If your choices are another country or Comic-Con, go to another country. Comic-Con's the same thing every year.
Comic-Con now, so you might as well go to Japan.
It's better. The people are nicer. it smells better. The whole thing is lovely, and there's less people in Japan. It seems like than there is at Comic-Con. So
all that being said, if like Fox wants to pay for me, if you're listening right now, I would love to go to Comic-Con if you pay my way.
Well, Aimee, thanks again, and yeah, I guess we'll chat with you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
have a great rest of your weekend.